age of 17, I was convicted for knife crime.
Yeah.
You know, I was 17, he was 17.
What did you do?
I used the bladed article on someone.
Mm-hmm.
I slashed him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so now the violence had got worse.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It escalated.
I take it he survived that.
He survived, yeah. He survived. Like, fortunately, luckily enough, he survived. They attacked me. A group of lads attacked me. They, you know, we called it jumping back then. They jumped me, and I was with a group of mates. I sort of strayed from them. I was down the seafront. It was at Airborne. It was busy on Eastbourne. They have the red arrows, like a big plane. You know it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was on, and you know, there's thousands of people down the beach. We went down there drinking, just sort of for the vibe, and yeah, I lost my sort of group of mates, and I was sort of like wandering around, a bit pissed, trying to find them, and I fell into the group of lads, some Albanian guys that I don't get on with, didn't get on with at that time, and yeah, they just they set pace to me. They began to attack me, and then one of the young lads we was with noticed I was getting attacked, ran down, got my friends. They come running up. One of them passed me the knife. We began to pursue them, chase them, and I caught one of them. So,
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I've always wondered this because, particularly in Northampton, actually, these, you know, knife crime's getting worse, and I know it is in all the bigger areas, but I think we're finding in the smaller towns and cities it's getting worse.
Mine was many years ago. Mine was 18 years ago.
Yeah, which is, it wasn't really talked about then as much.
No.
But I've often wondered this because I've never done it. That moment before you slash someone, or, you know, unfortunately some kids are stabbing other kids through the heart. And I often wonder, do you know in that moment, it's a stupid question in many ways, but I think it's one that I'm really curious about.
I think I know where you're going with it. I think it's an important question.
Yeah, it is. Do you know in that moment the consequences? Do you know that this person could get killed?
No.
Do you know? It's not even
you don't.
there.
You don't.
That's the saddest
and
thing for me.
that is the sad thing about it, because again, you know, if we talk about the ripple effect, I'm really glad you brought this up, so we can get into it a bit. You know, say I killed him that night.
Yeah. Which is entirely possible.
100%. You know, I went to stab him in the face. He was lucky he put his hand up.
Yeah.
You know, say I caught him in the neck or something.
Yeah.
You know, people don't realise. They watch a lot, you know, say going back to films and that, people watching all these films, people getting shot in legs and all stabbed in the legs and that. People think, I'll be all right, I just stab him in the neck.
Yeah.
I know this sounds, you know, this might be hard to listen to people, but this is how people will perceive it. And I can only talk from my personal experience. You see the films like, just stab him in the leg.
Yeah.
So they might think, if I just stab him in the leg, it's going to be fine. You're fucking crazy. How many arteries?
I know. That's the worst place, because of the jugular through the main artery through
the main artery. You'll fucking bleed out. You'll die.
Yeah.
But at that age and that's what I believe it was my mentality. That's how I would have thought. In the shoulders or something like that. Like,
you think it's safe.
Yeah, because you see it from films and all that. You know, and that's not reality.
No,
that's not. It's not the reality. And the reality is, you put a blade in someone. The likelihoods, you know, mine was. You know, I'm fortunate that could have gone a complete another way. I could have took someone's life.
Yeah. Well, God, yeah.
At an age, the reality is, I wasn't even out of an age where, you know, and people are getting life sentences. People are killing kids at this age. We was both 17. Two 17-year-olds, he would have lost his life that night. I would have never, you know, I would have been under the age of 18, I probably would have got 18 years.
Yeah, and yes, I mean, but then, you got to live with that as well.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying about the ripple effect now. You know, when I started developing consciences and all this, we know the consequences hit me. One, I've got to deal with actually taking someone's life. Could I have handled that myself? You know. Now we have to look at him, his family, his mother that's lost a son. Yeah. You know, whether it's a brother, whether he was a young dad, you know, that kid's going to grow up. We don't understand the ripple effect. People that might have seen it that night could have mentally scarred them. Say, you know, it was thousands of people on the beach. Someone just saw someone being stabbed like that. It could fuck up their heads. You don't, at that moment in time, anger, emotion, especially, you know, I was, you know, intoxicated that night.
Yes.
Didn't think twice about doing it. Didn't think twice. The only thing the time it hit me was after it happened, you know, I didn't know what happened, what was going on, and being wanted and that. But again, I didn't care even about that. This is, you know, I'm going to be honest here. It was more about, I'm going to go to prison.
Yes.
You know?
Because if you're 17, yes, you've got some analytical thinking and you've got some ability to work out boundaries and what you should and shouldn't do. Remember what we said at the beginning, if the magnets are set right if the bias is set right in the first 7 years.
Yeah.
If it's not, and then layered on top of that is more negative magnets, and I'm using that because a lot of people know about the law of attraction and like attracts like and all of that. So let's talk about it in magnets. You've got all these magnets which are all negative now. Your way of being seen and heard and seen as enough is to be this tough boy that takes out the hardest person in the gang, slashes a few people up here and there. That's the reality. So now the only thought you're going to have is this whole safety system is going to be taken away and I'm going to go to prison. And that is a scary thought for a 17-year-old. You haven't yet got the ability to go, but what about his mum? What about if he's got a kid? What about me having to live with this? You haven't got that yet. That doesn't come at 17. So it's important to have these conversations. And I bring it up because I just always feel so sad for everybody involved, including the kid, because I think, did you know at that point when you stabbed him in the heart he was going to die? And now that's murder. Like, you didn't know that.
You've lost your life before it started.
Everyone's lost their life in that situation. Everybody involved, all the people that went, everybody has lost a chunk of themselves.
Yeah.
And I just think it's so important to have the hard-hitting conversations and to keep telling kids, like, if you do that, even if you think stabbing them in the shoulder or the leg, you still could kill them. And that's your life over. And if you don't have, let's say you don't have, similarly to you don't have a really solid grounding, maybe you don't even care. That is really important to get across as well. Maybe you don't care because you feel nobody cares about you. We have to care as a community. Whatever community we have to care. So these kids don't feel like, who cares? That's so important. And you have to care because you've been there. Yeah. And that's what you're doing. I know that's where you were going with the whole podcast
like I said, I was just reflecting in my head. I can't believe it was 18 years ago. Yeah. It's fucking mental.
Yeah.
And like to see how far knife crime has come since then, like it's a fucking fashion. Like,
yeah, it is.
Like you've seen like the knives that they're collecting, like Rambo knives and this and that. It's crazy, Shout out to people like, I follow him on Instagram, Farron Paul. Have you ever seen him?
Yeah.
Brilliant guy, man. Do you know what I mean? Put it out there, putting his life on the line, and taking. For those that don't know, he takes knives off the streets.
Yeah.
He's fully dedicated.
And,
and people like that. Because
I
believe he was stabbed as well. Like
yes.
he was a victim of knife crime. So it's good that people are out there trying to make a difference. But there's like the union. Like. There's so many like negative influences around knife crime, from drill music, like
yes.
the rap, have you heard some of the drill music?
Yeah,
lyrics
it's awful.
And shit? Yeah, it's crazy, and and looking from the psychology side of it, when you're hearing these things, it's like drilling it in your head. It's like creating. I'm gonna like try and speak smart here. Like it's like developing white matter.
Yeah.
Like carrying knives and listening to these things. You're like wiring your brain to like, for you probably to like think it's acceptable, one, to even have a knife on you and then actually to use it. Am I making sense there?
Well, I always say, and it's not me that made this up, but repetition's recognition.
Oh, yeah, so that's it. Yeah.
The more you hear it, the more normal it becomes. Not only that, if it's glamorized, so if you're looking at these people with their, chains on and they've got their nice, whatever brand it is that they wear, and you think, well, they've got money, they've got the girls, they've got the life, and I want that too. Yeah. But not only that, you talk about white matter, but it's the neurons that fire together, wire together. So you end up with all these circuits.
Wire together.
Yeah, that's how it works. So you've got this map. I always say it's like a sat-nav in your head. You've got this sat-nav in your head that's now programmed through the repetition to think this is normal, acceptable, glamorous. So why can't I do it? Ella, you saying to me this is a bad idea. What do you know? It's what we were saying in the conversation before. How do you know? Have you ever held a knife? Have you ever stabbed any? Have you ever been stabbed, Ella? No, you haven't. So you don't know what you're talking about. These guys, though, the drill music, all the rap, and look, I love poetry and I love real life stories, and a lot of this music is just, hopefully, they're not glamorizing it too much. Hopefully, it's just telling a story, but it's how that story is told, I think, and a lot of the time, it's not told in a way that keeps people out of wanting to do it. It's more luring them in, and that's my problem with it. If you want to tell a story, rap it, do your drill music, but at least throw in the reality, which is if you stab someone in the wrong place, you're going down for murder, that kid's lost a dad, you're going to end up having to live with that for the rest of your life. And you know,
and you got to understand where the fantasy comes into it. Like, no, I served altogether 13 years behind the door, 10 years in one setting.
Mm-hmm.
Are you willing? And this is the most important thing. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to go to prison for life?
But what if the answer is yes? What if the answer is yes? Because you now know what that feels like. What about that kid that goes, what else have I got?
No, then live that life.
Yeah.
There's nothing can stop you. If you're prepared to do it, then it's likely you're going to end up doing it.
What if someone had said that to you?
Huh?
What if someone had said that to you back then? Are you willing? Would you have listened?
No.
That's my issue. Because we've got to be real with this conversation. If
It's
someone
only
had said
when you
that
feel
to you,
it. It's only like when you're there. And
yes.
It's only when you're like in that situation.
Yeah.
Like, I remember when I got my life sentence, or indefinite sentence, however we want to word it. Listen, I was given a sentence with no fucking release date. That's what it comes down to.
Scary.
I'm 21 years old.
Yeah.
Like, there's no feeling like that.
No.
Like,
How does it feel?
I don't know how to explain it. Like, I'm trying to really like, imagine myself back there right now. It's like the paperwork come in. It's just like it's 99 years. Like literally, I was like, am I never gonna get out? Because I wasn't behaved inside. I caught most of my fucking charges inside than I ever did outside.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So I knew, like, I had that bit of knowledge in my head to realise, well, I'm not exactly fucking well behaved in it to get parole, am I? Like, I was thinking, am I ever gonna get out? Like, and that's when it hit me. I don't think I'm ever gonna get out.
God.
I thought my life's over.